as basically a grunt. And one thing led to another, and I ended up being in grad school with Jim Carr, and that's where I got where I am today. So it wasn't like this grand plan that I laid out. It was really a bunch of happenstance and me happening to be in the right place at the right time that I found sort of a calling that resonated, and there was opportunity for me to go forward, and so I did. I took this ecology course from Jim Carr, and I was blown away. I said, I can't believe people get paid to do this kind of work. And so then it turned out it was just one of these things where one thing led to another, and it turns out, was organizing a tropical ecology course to Panama over the summer of, this was 1974. And so I signed up for that, and we went to Panama for 4 weeks. I'd never been on an airplane, let alone out of the country. So this was a huge eye-opener for me. So here we are, plunked down in the middle of the Central American tropics, which is a world so far removed from what I grew up in. It was mind-boggling, literally. All these fish and birds and mammals and stuff that I'd never had even an inkling of, other than maybe occasional read about in a book or something. And so that really changed my life. And we happen to be very close to a lot of streams, from the lowlands to the highlands, and over a good bit of Panama, which cuts across a number of different sorts of physiographic and zoogeographic regions. And so he was going to do basically seine some fish in all those places and see what he came up with. And he needed a strong back to help hold the other end of the seine. I said, well, I can do that. Science writing and communication that I do, there's several roles, of course. One, just sort of thinking through the chronology of doing funded work, is you got to write proposals that are compelling. And so learning how to do that, tell a story in the proposal that is convincing to someone who doesn't know you from Adam, that's one challenge. And so you have to get good at doing that. And then once you have results in hand, there's another story you have to learn how to tell, and that is, how does the results you have, why are they appealing or interesting or important to someone else? So get them to read past the title or abstract of your paper and make those findings relevant to other contexts, particularly in general contexts. So if I'm working on stream fish in Virginia, how can something I find there be useful to someone who's probably working on, say, birds in California? I mean, so that's the sort of thing you aspire to, is to draw general lessons that have applicability elsewhere. But more practically, virtually all the work that I do is very management oriented. So one of my really big roles in communicating science, I guess, is not so much writing, but interacting with agency people, state and federal agency folks, because those are the ones that I want to be able to take whatever work that I do or my students do and put it to good use. And so I don't spend a lot of time writing essays to those people, but I spend a good bit of time talking to them and having meetings about, okay, where do we go from here? What do we need to know better? Or how might we interpret this finding to be of use to actually make a difference in recovering a species or setting up restoration goals, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of communication that's sort of off the cuff, but there's a lot of powerful products that you can develop from your desk that go toward outreach and science communication and things like that really do probably make a bigger difference toward conservation goals and that sort of thing. So you have to weigh the importance of those kinds of actions and outcomes. So it goes beyond your own personal enjoyment to one of more commitment to, as you alluded to, making a difference in the conservation writ large, which is a much bigger challenge. Don't necessarily adopt a linear path toward, say you're in the middle of a thesis and you've got these 3 pieces you have to work up don't look at it, I'm going to do piece one, finish that, then I'm going to do piece two, finish that, then I'm going to do piece three. Don't necessarily think that way. So some people don't work that way. So what I like to tell people is work on things. Sometimes you'll find a sweet spot and you'll make a run at something and really feel good about where it's going. And then you have this block. It's like, now what do I do? I can't get past. So maybe it's smart to put it aside for a minute. Go work on the other piece that you've got to catch up with and get some progress on that. And I find, and this isn't really it's a bit trite perhaps to say, but when I come back and look at something anew with fresh eyes, more or less fresh eyes, sometimes you see a way forward that you didn't think about before. And so I think we can too easily get too down the weeds on something and not be able to see where to go from there. But so figuratively, step back and take another look at it. And maybe after you shift your mind focus to something else and come back, you have a different perspective. That's kind of my very generic strategy for dealing with things.